Hello everyone, welcome back to Touch the Fire Twice. I'm Joshua, and I'm here today to do an in-depth sniff and comparison review of the recently launched Bath & Body Works Fresh Amalfi Lemon Candle. But before we dig into that, if you are new to Touch the Fire Twice, welcome. My mission here is to share my love and passion for fine home fragrance as an enthusiast, an educator, a reviewer, to inspire you to increase your own fragrance knowledge and understanding, ultimately enhancing the scent memories that you create. If you want to learn more about what I do, why I do it, and how I do it, you can check out my website at TouchTheFireTwice.com, and also give me a follow over on Touch the Fire Twice. But for now, let's dig into this Fresh Amalfi Lemon. So this launched in mid-May 2024. I'm not certain if this is a brand new scent. Well, don't want to jump ahead of myself, but it's very, very similar to a past scent. Not sure if it's repackaged, but we'll do my traditional Touch the Fire Twice comparison review to a couple of other lemon candles from Bath & Body Works and another brand as well. But as far as this fragrance in the Fresh Amalfi Lemon name, I'm not certain. I know that there's one other packaging currently out for Fresh Amalfi Lemon, but I believe this may be the first time that we have seen this name, at least with this scent, and it may be a new scent, a little bit TBD. I think for most folks, it's a little bit tricky to tell if this is truly brand new, regardless of what Bath & Body Works may claim. Interestingly, this is sort of a standalone scent. It is not in a broader collection, and the fragrance comes in a wide array of products from shower gels, lotions, creams, hand soap, wallflowers, pocket bags. It's interesting to see a standalone like this, where it's not a new body care focus, perfumey sort of scent, but just a new, let's say new, fragrance from Bath & Body Works that is just going across pretty much all product forms, which is kind of nice to see that standalone, that they're putting that effort into something that really, for me, is a bit of a throwback to the somewhat like Slatkin & Co. golden era of Bath & Body Works candles, as well as the original Bath & Body Works in the 1990s focus on one or two names, kind of either market or farm stand fresh blends. And so a focus on something that is not over the top, not a million notes in it, though of course fine fragrances have quite a few notes, and that's wonderful most of the time, but to have something that's kind of straightforward and celebrating it as a focus is kind of different and nice for Bath & Body Works. It's been a while since we've seen something like that. So first we'll talk through kind of just the aesthetics of this. I will get my nose on it, tell you what I think, talk about some of the burn performance, and then do my traditional comparison review. So I think that this is nice. It is straightforward, it's simple, it's clean. I do like these sort of milky, matte, opaque jars with just a little bit of translucency through there. And then this is your traditional sort of rectangular stick-on label with a little bit of that stenciling and this striped background, which is, I suppose, somewhat representative of Italy, the Amalfi coast, though I don't know exactly how authentic it is. And just this little watercolor of these lemons on the tree with that raised enamel texture we've come to know at Bath & Body Works. And then, of course, just fresh Amalfi lemon. And it does have this really nice, like almost I'd say denim colored lid. It's a bit hard to see with the reflection there, but I'm sure you've seen it in stores or online. Just a really nice, soft, kind of matte denim colored hefty metal lid, great quality. So let's talk about the notes on this. Notes on this are fairly straightforward with lemon leaves, chilled spearmint, and cedarwood citrus. Now what I do find fairly interesting about that is they're not saying lemons or lemon juice or lemon zest, they're saying lemon leaves. So we're talking perhaps that greener, not sour like the juice, and maybe not quite as bright and fresh and borderline floral that the zest could be. It's gonna be a bit greener and maybe subdued with the leaves. Chilled spearmint, okay, chilled, insert adjective here, doesn't really matter, but spearmint, so we're gonna get some mint there, some soft mint from the spearmint, and then cedarwood citrus. Cedarwood, fine, cedarwood, we know what that is, we won't talk about that, but cedarwood citrus, to my knowledge, cedarwood trees do not produce citrus, and citrus trees are not cedar woods, so correct me if I'm wrong, any botanists out there, but I think they're just throwing in the idea of, cedarwood citrus sounds like it could be a fragrance name, frankly, cedarwood and citrus. So some other citrus in here along with the lemon, which frankly, most of the time, if you're gonna get any fragrance that is a citrus-based fragrance, it's pretty common for it to be a blend. Maybe there's more of, the primary note of a fragrance that they're promoting, but there's usually gonna be supportive citruses as well, just to kind of give it additional layers and depth and oomph. Well, let's get my nose on it. This is really simple, but beautiful. It's a very nice, straightforward lemon. And why that in itself is somewhat impressive, I suppose, is lemon can lean in many directions, good and bad. It can lean incredibly artificial. It can lean very candy-like. It can lean cleaner-like you're spraying some end dust or, lemon pine sol or fabuloso. And when you're doing a lemon like this, a fresh lemon that is not, coated in cream cheese frosting or cake or baked goods, there's more of a risk of it being that kind of cleaner lemon that just smells like, not bad, but as if you just cleaned your home. Not that you have a clean home, but you just put cleaner out, which is not really, the fragrance that most folks are looking for. But with this, it is a true, fresh, clean, I'd say natural lemon was the word I'm looking for there. But like it says, it's not the zippy pop of super bright zestiness that some fragrances have. When I think of, there is the lime zest and matcha from Nest, which is incredibly bright and zesty and just like almost a crunchy, sparkling brightness, not effervescence, but just a real sparkle to it. And there are other, there are zesty fragrances across the board at Bath & Body Works as well. But it really, I can see them saying the leaves because it does bring almost more of, not, I don't want to say herbal lemon, but close to it. And certainly with the addition of the spearmint and just the leaves themselves, and then whatever that citrus brings, which we'll talk a bit more in a second here, it does bring sort of, I'd say like an herbal lemon. And Amalfi, or the Amalfi Coast, is the coastline of southern Italy that overlooks the Tyrrhenian Sea and the Gulf of Salerno. It is Mediterranean, it is warm, it is gorgeous. It's a jet set place for folks from around the world, and it actually is designated as a heritage site. So with that in mind, this doesn't lean, this doesn't have to be an Amalfi lemon, because typically if there's going to be a coastline or a coastal lemon or something that is, again, Amalfi is the coastline, you often would get a sea spray, a bay breeze, maybe a laurel leaf or something truly herbal in there, or you would get, some driftwood or generic ocean fragrance scents or something aquatic. I actually appreciate that that's not in here. Call it whatever you want. Fresh Amalfi lemon, fine, works for me, but these could be lemons from anywhere because there's not really an ocean or even aquatic aspect to this, which is fine by me. I appreciate that actually. But getting my nose on it, it is that very clean, again, let's say green lemon because of those leaves. It's the lemon oil that is in the leaves, which is gonna be a little bit different in fragrance than the intensity that you get and the brightness that you get from the lemon zest itself. The oil in the leaves is gonna have a slightly more green herbal fragrance. As far as the spearmint, I can see mint in here, though it kind of almost reads a little bit more verbena to me versus a true straight spearmint. Mint family, kind of that herbal mint, when you think of things like lemongrass or lemon verbena or just verbena, there is that sort of, and mint, there is that sort of play between, they intermingle. They're not interchangeable, but they have some similarities. They're cousins in a way. And so with the spearmint, I don't call this out straight up mint. And I think if it was an obvious mint, people would be thinking, oh, it's kind of toothpaste-like or candy-like. The mint in here is very subtle, but adds, I don't necessarily want to say cooling aspect, because spearmint, if in fact this is spearmint, is not really a cooling mint the way that, say, peppermint is. Because peppermint has menthol in it. Spearmint does not have any menthol, so it doesn't have that same kind of chilling effect, although it's listed as chilled spearmint for whatever reason. And then cedarwood citrus, cedarwood, if it's there, it is like the smallest kind of hint of it in the base, because this is not a woody fragrance. This isn't a kind of an aromatic woody fragrance or a fresh woody fragrance. This is a fresh lemon fragrance for sure, or you could say herbal lemon fragrance. But when you think of cedar, think of those pencil shavings in school, slightly camphoraceous. I always think of it as a kind of wetter wood than something dry and creamy like a sandalwood, or dry and almost powdery and heavy and rich and warm like oak wood, or something dark and resinous like an oud or guaiac wood. So if there is cedarwood in here, it is just a fine hint of it. And I think almost kind of in my mind, almost like a reddish color of this cedar, of kind of the sweet balsamic-like camphoraceousness that you get from cedarwood at times, I think is what we're getting in here. So it's kind of sweetly balsamic camphoraceous wood in here versus what you might think of as a traditional wood, or that sometimes appear much more dried and warming. Overall, I think it's a really nicely balanced blend, but I do think there are a few more notes obviously in here than they're listing. And for me, I really do get, I think probably some verbena leaves in here. They say chilled spearmint, yes, but that citrus as well on top of when they say cedarwood citrus, I'm not sure what exactly that is. That could be a million things. There could be a little bit of yuzu in there. There could be maybe even just a little bit of lime in the background. And there actually could be a bit of a floral in here. Maybe even just something as simple as like a lemon blossom, because there is a slight powdery aspect. So I'm kind of just spitballing here, frankly. It's not like I'm calling it out as, oh, I think that's exactly what is in here, but to give a little bit of powdery freshness without being full on powdery to balance out the more green herbal lemon we get from the leaves. Performs really, really well. I've only had a couple of burns, but it pulls out quickly. It has a really nice throw in it. Traditional burn, I do cut these wicks down. They didn't get crazy big, but I don't want them to get much longer than that because I don't want this to get sooty. And this is, a light colored wax, which at Bath & Body Works, burn it for too long and it can start to make it dingy and kind of burn or singe the fragrance oils that are in there so that it gets a little bit gross halfway through the burn, and I'd like to prevent that if possible and keep it fresh. But let's get into the comparison review here, the traditional TouchTheFireTwice comparison review I like to do. And I have 4 candles here. I don't have all of my candles with me now. I had to dig these out of a storage unit. So as I always like to say, the off-site storage, if you know AZ Frangela's classic rant video from 10 plus years ago. But I grabbed a couple candles to compare it to. Not everything. There was one candle I wanted to grab, I didn't find. And I'll tell you what that was. It would have been the Laurel Leaf and Lemon, I believe was the name of it, from Homeworks. Came out 2 or 3 years ago. I think maybe their Amalfi Lemon was actually a repackage of that. And I would say this is similar to that, but for me that was, perhaps unsurprisingly, a really weak throw on the original release from 2021 or 2022 perhaps. I remember I bought that, I think, at one of the TJX stores in person, and it burned fine, but I didn't even get through the candle because it was so weak. But it did have that sort of, with that laurel leaf, it was a bit of an herbal lemon. So similar family. Don't think it was really that similar because, this one is stronger and better in my opinion. But to compare a few here, there's some fun ones actually here. So I'll go with one that is so obviously not it, but I saw it and figured let me grab it because it is lemon. And that's the Limoncello Cupcake. This is a great powerhouse candle from Homeworks. I can't speak for the current pours now, but this one was poured back in August of 2021. To be frank, I haven't purchased in the past year and a half. I purchased 1 set of Homeworks candles. I did a review on them, the Wild Hydrangea. Terrible burns, and I've not touched the brand since, unfortunately. I have a ton to burn through from over the years that I was collecting, but it's just far too hit or miss for me, and I'm not really into a lot of the scents they've been bringing out lately as well. But this Limoncello Cupcake is a clean, classic, beautiful bakery. Of course, we know this one has limoncello, Sicilian lemons, candied lemons, vanilla, baked cupcake. This is the best bakery lemon I've ever smelled. I think most people would agree this is probably a top seller for Homeworks. And really, it's nothing like that. Other than the fact that it is lemon, there's nothing else that matches that. There's no vanilla in the fresh Amalfi lemon. There's really no herbal in the Limoncello Cupcake. But I saw it and I thought, well, if nothing else, I'll bring it here. I'll burn it as we get into the warmer months here. One that I do think it's actually quite similar to now that I'm sniffing them side by side is Lemon Mint Leaf. This was out during the Slatkin & Co. era at Bath & Body Works. This may be the last time that it came out actually, which was early 2021. I love this scent. I mentioned it in another recent video. It was a bit of a love or hate. A lot of folks said it was too toothpaste, too cleaner-like. Notes on it were sparkling lemon zest, spearmint leaves, and verbena sprigs. So think about that. Lemon, spearmint, so 2 matches really, when lemon leaves, lemon zest, close enough Bath & Body Works, and spearmint leaves. This one has verbena sprigs, which as I mentioned, I do get some sort of herbal verbena-like note in the fresh Amalfi lemon, though this is much more powdery, like I don't know where the powder comes from, almost like a eucalyptus. I think there's probably an unlisted eucalyptus note in here that brings a powdery airiness. But comparing, side by side to the fresh Amalfi lemon, they are quite similar in expression. There's more mint in the lemon mint leaf, more of that airy powderiness, and a bit less sweetness. There's just a bit more bright traditional lemon fragrance in the fresh Amalfi lemon versus the lemon mint leaf. And it's funny because they put the zest in here and the leaves in here, and if I would have been guessing, I would think that this maybe would be the leaves because it's such a green herbal fragrance, and this would be the zest. Either way, who knows if that's even accurate, because they'll call something roasted sesame that happens to be a pumpkin peanut brittle. So don't trust the marketing, but we can only go on what they give us. Very similar. It's kind of like a toned down, sweetened up, less powdery lemon mint leaf. So if you like lemon mint leaf, you may like the fresh Amalfi lemon. 2 more to compare it to. One that's obviously not it, and one that I think is very, very close to it. We'll save that for last. But also just comparing it to the sweet tea and lemonade. That has been out for a couple of years now. This is last year's packaging. I've actually not burned it yet. Just a very unique, pretty, strange a little bit kind of packaging where you've got this velvet-like label with the ribbon kind of insignia on it there with the old school Bath & Body Works logo, that sunrise, with this, what feels like, I guess, basket weave. But a nice lid. Interestingly, I actually think that these are this is the variation for this year for this was kind of a standalone collection. It had, I believe, multiple products supporting it, and even the color scheme is kind of similar for that late spring, early summer collection. But sweet tea and lemonade, of course, was sweet tea, fresh squeezed lemons, and sugar crystals. Everyone knows this one. It's a riff on the London Calling that I've always called it the Lipton Nestea Brisk canned iced tea or powdered iced tea versus a true freshly brewed tea. But it's sweet. There's maybe more lemon in this than the London Calling back in the day, but for me, unless they were side by side, I would actually call them the same for me, but I know enough people have said that they're different that I trust that's likely the case. But this is very, very sweet. There's nothing herbal to this. It's very much a drinkable lemon tea. But finally, and the main reason I wanted to dig out some candles was I felt like maybe this could actually be ye old Slatkin & Co. Fresh Lemon. This was, I suppose if there was such thing as a core collection at Bath & Body Works in the 2008 to 2012 era, Fresh Lemon was part of it. Certainly was out at least seasonally, every spring into summer. This one was actually poured in 2012 because I believe this actually came back as part of a semi-annual sale. It was Slatkin & Co. label, but the lid is a Bath & Body Works lid, and they did, I think, fresh cotton and fresh lemon in sort of the traditional old school silver rectangle photo-like labels that were all labels in, say, 2008 to 10 or 11 perhaps? I think, 2011 is when they started to switch them up a bit. They brought them back as part of some annual sale because certainly this label was not the standard label in 2012. Notes on this one, now take a look at this. This is something I missed. This was probably more authentic to some of the true notes that are in here versus the 90% marketing notes we get nowadays. Sparkling lemon is blended with Chinese orange blossom, exotic palm leaf, and vanilla cream. So they're giving us, adjectives, sparkling, exotic. That word's a little bit whatever, but rich, okay, fine. But they're telling us a sparkling lemon, an orange blossom, that little bit of blossom that I caught maybe also in that fresh Amalfi lemon, the green of the palm leaf, maybe that's a spearmint, maybe that's a verbena. They might have called it palm leaf here. I don't know the palm leaves themselves really have that much of a fragrance that you put as fragrance oils in a candle, and a vanilla cream. Getting my nose on this, this has never been burned, but when a candle is this old, it probably would burn totally fine at this point, but the oils have been stuck in that wax for 12 years now, my goodness, that you kind of have to rub it to try to activate it, hopefully. I don't want to burn it right now because I have this other lemon candle to burn. But it is very similar. I'd say it maybe is a little bit more subdued. Don't know if that's age or the true blend of the candle. I think the fragrance oils themselves are fairly stable in this, but they're quite similar. I don't think this is a repackage pulled from the vaults, but it's certainly if someone were to recreate something like a fresh lemon from back in the day, this is the 2024 variation based on, frankly, available scents and just kind of the styles of fragrance that are created, the blends that are created now versus maybe 10, 12 years ago. Comparing them side by side, perhaps there's a bit more of that, let's call it the cooling, whether it's from verbena or it's from perhaps the kind of camphoraceousness that we'll get from a cedar or that spearmint. There's not as much of that in here. I think this probably doesn't though it has maybe some green of some sorts, a bit of herbal. It's not really a cooling, the way that verbena can be cooling or obviously spearmint can be cooling. If it's a palm leaf or something that's just green, it's more greenery versus herbal, if that makes sense. So certainly a bit different, but similar wheelhouse. I actually think I might prefer this one. This is very classic. It's very, OG. I really enjoyed that fragrance for the years that it was around. But this one certainly seems more relevant to today. So all that to say, really enjoy this. It's burning well. I probably would not buy another because it is fairly straightforward, fairly simple, but I appreciate it is something simple that they didn't just throw away as a basic lemon. And they've had so many basic fragrances in general, but basic citruses over the years that this one just feels, I don't want to say elevated, but perhaps a little elevated because you've got a little bit of that green, a little bit of something that's slightly camphoraceous in there, not fully herbal to scare people off, but that coastal lemon without going aquatic or driftwood or breezy, I appreciate. And it's very nice. Strong, good intensity, good strength, throw and performance across the board, at least the first 3 burns in. I enjoy it. So I'd love to hear what you think of this. Any other lemons that you think are similar to this or that you love that are different than this? Lemon, as we've talked about, can be expressed in so many ways. And so I'd love to hear about maybe some of your favorite lemon candles at Bath & Body Works or other brands as well. Let me know what you think. And until next time, take care.